All right, it is 6 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Father Andy, will you please come and say our opening prayer?
Let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord God of mercy, who through your Son gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment of love for one another. Send down your blessings on these your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others. When they are called on in times of need, let them faithfully serve you and their neighbor. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. That's right.
All right. First up is approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or amendments that need to happen on this?
Of any, I'd move for approval of the agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Up next is approval of the consent agenda.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, public comment. Mr. Dale Inyard.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you. I didn't have anything prepared as much as I had planned on. Then just a couple of quick comments, if I could. With the talk of the visitor center and needing to have that, I just went into a little bit of things that I was looking at on our website. Under visitors guide. Under the visitor guide, there's a PDF that has one link that goes to anything. So it's not interactive. There's no, I don't know if we're using the technology that we have as efficiently as we could. Then on the back is a lot of the places to stay and the things to do. And one of them I didn't recognize, and it's the second one down under launching. And I didn't find anything on the internet. So I don't know. I don't know how new, how accurate, but this was as of today on the website. If you go under the travel guide as to what's there. I think that if we're gonna spend money on a visitor center type thing, that maybe we ought to use the technology. We've got that, the website's fantastic, the app's fantastic. It's got so much information on it now. But the things that aren't necessarily gonna cost us a lot of money, I think we ought to be looking at those too. So, signage is the big thing throughout the town. Those are some things that Trish had found and looked up, so. And I meant to get y'all emails, so it wouldn't just be all willy-nilly here and there. It's been a little hectic, so. That's my comments as far as visitor center. I dollar wise, money wise, we've got the website. I think that we should at least be utilizing that with links to a lot of the things, in my opinion. Number two, totally different thing, off the wall. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with SB 418 that they passed through legislature late in the session. It has a lot of zoning restrictions that pull home rule away from cities and counties. This is a copy of the League of Municipalities, what their concerns were with it. I was just starting to get into it after a friend of mine that's Mayor Keachai said, would you look at this thing, because something's not right. It actually has a couple of statutes that it says repeal at the end. It doesn't go in effect till July 1st. So I don't know that what I've got on legislature side is final, but I just thought y'all ought to look at it and know. I know there's a lot of municipalities across the state that are kind of in an uproar. Talking that maybe if it was only applicable to first class cities of the first class instead of the others, that it might be more palatable. But if that FYI, something was brought to my attention, I want to make sure you guys have known about too. So some of that stuff gets under the bridge and gone before we get to see it. So thank you all. I appreciate everything you do. And it's almost the 250th birthday. Anniversary. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. All right. I have a motion to recess into land bank.
I'll make a motion to this in line by meeting. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to recess into the land bank meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we are now in the land bank meeting. First up is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Next up, approval of the minutes from 2/26.
I'll make a motion to approve again. It's 2/26 of 26. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from February 26th. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to new business, Prime Craftsman Homes.
Hi, I'm Tanya Brookshire, Prime Craftsman Homes. Had the opportunity to speak with Dan and Leslie, and so we're really grateful for you guys having us out today. I'll go ahead and introduce you to Kent Miracle and Steve Fulmer.
Hi guys, I'm Kent Miracle. I'm the Chief Market Officer of Prime Craftsman Homes in Wichita. And this gentleman, obviously, there's one than less, is Steve Philmeyer, our Chief Executive Officer. And Steve, if it's that time in the meeting, would be happy to present and elaborate on PowerPoint that we had sent electronically beforehand. I'll let him just take it from here.
Okay. I'll take about 20 minutes and just introduce you to our company, Prime Craftsman Homes. My name is Steve Feldmeyer from Wichita, Kansas. I was CFO for Koch Industries for about 30 years. Retired. Actually, Tracy used to work in my departments out there. She reminded me of that today. It's good to see you. I've been retired about 2.5 years and working on affordable housing for about the last 4.5 years. Part of my interest in affordable housing was really driven by the Stand Together, which is an organization that the Kochs founded, but there's really a number of constituents that are part of it. And they take a nationwide approach, but really got focused on trying to approach philanthropy at the community level, recognizing that you can't bring the same types of answers to every community that's dependent upon what their needs and capabilities are. And they have to understand affordable housing needs in Wichita. So I spent about a year studying it. realized that affordable housing means a lot of different things, to a lot of different people. Technically, the definition is that if you're less than 80% of the average median income in this country, you probably need some kind of affordable housing. Most people think that means some type of a subsidy from the government. And there's two big programs. There's Section 8, which allows you to go out and get rent vouchers that HUD pays for. There's about 3,000 of them in Wichita that are administered by the Public Housing Authority, managed by them. And that would enable a single family mom or father, for example, with a couple kids, if their income level is such they can only afford 800 of rent. Because that would be 30% of their income, which is the standard. But the going market rate for the kind of home they would need or the apartment is 1,300. They'd get a voucher for the difference of $500. And the other program is Section 42, which is typically multifamily apartment complexes where there's rent caps. And the investors would not normally invest in rent cap property because they're not going to make an adequate return. So the government subsidizes that investment with tax credits. And so that's enabled about 25% of the multifamily apartment complexes to get built in this country the last 20 years. And that's what people think affordable housing is, and that's there to try to solve the problem. Yet the problem is massively bigger than that. There's probably 5 million homes in the United States needed for affordable housing, another 5 million needed for starter homes. And I'll start with starter homes and work backwards. In the last 6 years, construction costs have gone up 80% just in the last 6 years. They've doubled in the last 20 years. But because of this massive rise in the last 6 years, the average age of a buyer, of the first time buyer of a starter home, has gone from 29 to 41. The average mortgage payment across the country in the last 6 years has gone from about $2,000 to $2,900, which is what's causing the first time home buyers to just basically tap out. Most builders have given up trying to build starter homes because they don't think they can do it. In Wichita, there's a plethora of duplexes coming in, and they look, to be candid, they don't look great. It's almost embarrassing. It is row house after row house, and it's garage after garage, just past the front setback lines, because it's developers trying to squeeze every inch out of the land and get the density where they want it and need it, so they can get the profit margins that they want. You know, and it's just, it's horrible to think that has to be the only market-based solution to get after starter homes in this country. On the affordable side, before we built the factory, I'll tell you about it in a minute. I spent the first couple of years after I retired remodeling homes. We went and created a fund. We had about $15 million come into it from a number of banks in Wichita. They were looking for something called CRA credit, stands for Community Reinvestment Act. And they're required under law to bank everybody in their geographic area the same way, whether that's an affluent customer, a middle income customer, or a low income customer. The problem is if there's no demand from the low income customers because there's no builders that are willing to build affordable housing, then the banks can't make their audits. They can't pass their audits. So they're desperate for looking for things that will get them credit. So that's how I was able to attract this capital. And we began to remodel homes that actually the Public Housing Authority had been managing on behalf of HUD since the 40s, basically, since World War II. And a lot of these are that Section 8 that I described earlier, the rental homes that people go into. But they didn't take care of them, not enough money appropriated over the years. And in Wichita, anyway, about 400 of the 500 homes were boarded up. Asbestos, water damage, cracked foundations, black mold, the whole 9 yards. And they've been boarded up for about 10 years. And now they just serve as places for drugs, prostitution, and all the bad stuff that happens with teenagers and others that just don't have enough to do. So the HUD made a good decision when the city to start investing those. And they used some DARPA money to help supplement it because they knew that an investor could not make the numbers work. To come in and because they didn't want you to tear them down, so we had to remodel all of them. And we did about 150. And out of that came an experience that I saw just how brutal the construction costs are. It was very difficult to remodel for less than $160 a square foot, almost impossible. And that included preserving the driveway, the foundation, some of the stud framework, and some of the roof framework. You still at that number. A lot of other developers came in from out of state and maybe invested 20, 30,000, just painted, it's horrible. You would not live there. But that happened. And so it really kind of put a passion in us that we needed to do something different, but figure out how to do it more economically. The problem with the typical traditional builder, they've not innovated at all. It's the same model. They go out to the site, they hire a plethora of subcontractors. The subcontractors come in and charge 15 to 18% markup. And I'm not criticizing any of you who are in this industry. I'm just telling you the way it works, right? And then the GC comes in and puts another 15% on top of that. And then sales and marketing comes in with another 6% on top of that. And in the meantime, you have a lot of inefficiencies that are occurring during the build process because of weather delays, theft at sites, delays from subcontractors, delays in getting permits, delays in seeking variances, whatever it is, takes 18 months. So you end up with a lot of construction period interest that goes with that too, because most of these folks are borrowing with construction loans. So I ran into a group in Tulsa doing modular construction and went and visited them. And they opened up their books to me. And I saw these beautiful homes they were building. Not tiny homes, but 800 square feet, 900, 1100, 1300, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, etc. Typically no basement, but with tornado shelters, which I can explain those later. And building them for $75 a square foot. Now, mind you, the typical builder today who's doing a starter home is now at about $300,000 at $240 a square foot. 240 a square foot on 1,300 square feet gets you about 300,000. 240, and I'm seeing 75. And I'm going, this is crazy. How do they get there? First thing I learned was that's just the cost of the house itself. You still got to get it shipped. You got to get on a foundation. You have to do dirt work. You got to put permits. You got to hook up electrical, stormwater, all that stuff. And that's going to add another $40 a square foot, depending on the land cost. So we're really closer to 115 or 120. And if we're going to do starter homes, you have to add the cost of the garage, an extra utility, maybe an extra half bath, landscape it, driveway, fencing, etc. Then you're probably going to be around 160. But that's the 160 for a completely brand new home with the benefits of modular construction. So about an $80 per square foot difference. And on an $80 a square foot difference on a 1,300 square foot home, that gets me down to 200,000 versus 300,000. And the way we're looking at it, we're not trying to capture any incremental profit here. We're trying to just show what we can go do it for and price at that level. We'll recover the cost of our appreciation, but we're not trying to make money. So where's the $80 come from? It comes from 5 things. The subcontractor markups are about $25 to $30 of profit. The GC at 15% adds on top of that. In total, you're talking about $40 to $50 a square foot out of the 80 to 100 square foot of savings. We can build for half the labor hours. All the delays that happen in the field, when we're doing it in an automated factory-like setting, you can do it for half the labor hours. One example is that we don't cut any of our lumber. It all goes through a CNC machine, precision cut with lasers. The computer knows exactly what to cut. You load the whole thing up with wood the night before, you come back in the morning, it's all pre-cut for that house, labeled, so that the crew simply is working with just erecting it. And they can do it a day versus maybe a couple of weeks when you're framing, okay? This is not possible for a stick builder to do this. because they can't take that kind of machinery out to the site. So we can save half the labor hours. On the material cost side, we actually will end up with more lumber in the house. Yet we have far less waste than in the amount of waste, just to put in perspective, is a typical stick builder will take a 40-yard dumpster and have to dump it 4 times during the construction process. We'll fill a dumpster 1/8 of the time because of the precision cutting that occurs in the plant. Plus, we have a 160,000 square foot facility with ample room to store raw materials. So whenever Lowe's or Home Depot or Star Lumber or somebody like that has a procurement clerk that means to order 1 truckload or 1 rail car full of plywood, and she or he accidentally orders 10, and it happens a lot, we'll get a phone call saying, you gotta take a load off of our hands because it's gonna work in our backyard, or it's gonna work in our field. So we'll be able to buy that at half price, for example, we'll store it. So our raw material cost saves about $10 a square foot in traditional builder. Plus, we can offer raw material discounts. We can offer bulk buying to all these suppliers. We're buying for homes 50 to 100 at a time versus 1 at a time. And then finally, we don't have the interest expense. We've capitalized the whole business with equity, but really more importantly, we can build a house in 45 days versus building a house in 540 days. And that saves us about $10 a square foot. And that's really it. We're not cheating on quality. People are concerned that modular is mobile homes. And they're not 2 very different things. Modular is built to the code of the municipality that you're in. Modular homes are built to the HUD code. Because mobile homes are built to the HUD code because they're shipped. And mobile homes had a great place. In Wichita, for example, when the war started in World War II, the population doubled between 1940 and 1943. Because people were building, aircraft for the war. They needed a place for these people to stay, so mobile home parks popped up everywhere. It's just not the answer, in my opinion, to solve the housing crisis. When modular is such an excellent opportunity with the cost structure that is presented, to have a house same quality or better at $80 a square foot less. So we tested it. We had the folks from Tulsa make us 5 homes. We brought them to Wichita. I wanted to find out how it was to work with planning and zoning and the building commission. I wanted to figure out how easy it was going to be to erect these on sites. And we learned a lot. But mostly we learned it was very valued in the community. People really liked it. The city liked it and embraced it. The one criticism we had was that some of these houses just still look too rectangular. And they look like mobile home. So we went to work to change the aesthetics of the house at the affordable level. And then we set out to do starter homes with attached garages, different shape. And I'm going to show you some of those images here in a minute. Part of the reason for also entering the starter home market was though for just economic reasons. The one drawback to doing modular is that I have overhead. And in my case, it's going to be about $2.5 million a year. If I'm only building 50 homes, that means I have to add about $50 a square foot back to the math I just gave you. So if there's an $80 to $100 advantage in giving half of it back, it'd be unfair to say that GP, we're going to eliminate that profit margin, which we are, and same from the subs. But I still don't know my overhead I have to account for. That's the add back. But if I'm building 300 homes, it's $10 a square foot. So instead of having a $90 or $100 advantage, it becomes $80. And that was the reason really for going after starter homes, because it would help me improve our chances of producing at a higher volume. But it also was really a direct assault against this part of the market which can't afford houses any longer. It's not just the 50% of the population that is below 80% of AMI. It's the folks in the starter home category, which is another 20% of the population. They're between 80% and 120% of AMI. These are two income families that actually have great jobs. They just can't buy a house. So we're set to roll the clock back and to minimize the transportation costs. We decided to build a factory in Wichita. We had a number of great investors put in capital. If I was to build the building that we're leasing now, that'd probably be a $12 million investment. We spent another 8 to build out the factory. And working capital and startup costs, probably another 3 or 4 million. So we got a lot invested here. But we're highly confident we can build these as described. And we set out to do this across the state. And our transportation costs will be minimized because it's right there in Wichita. We went to Topeka to tell them what we're gonna do. They have some job training dollars available, especially if you're gonna use some second chance labor. And we were talking with the Lieutenant Governor, Dave Tolson. And I was telling about the project, and he said, look, I'm gonna give you the biggest check we've ever given anybody for discretionary job training dollars. Wrote a check for $250,000, got authority to do that. I knew he had that authority, that's why I went there to see him. And he said, I only have one request. He goes, as I go across the state, and by the way, the Lieutenant Governor is also responsible for commerce. He runs the Commerce Department. And he says, we go across the state, and this is all that comes up. There's no workforce housing, there's no affordable housing, and we cannot attract the businesses that want to come here. So I just asked that you go to all these communities and see them. And so we've been trying to live up to that promise. That's why you guys got a phone call from us to see if you have any needs here. We're very familiar with our HIV. We became very familiar with the fact that you have one or still have one. And in most communities, some they're working, some they're not. But I will tell you that across the state right now, at least half the communities are working to put one in place. Because they believe it's the only way they're going to attract the investment necessary. So you were ahead of the curve when you put yours in 7 years ago, however it was.
Just a few months.
Yeah, the RHID has just been put into place.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Oh, versus land bank.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did land bank out.
Okay.
That mode, right?
The other problem we've heard though, as we traverse the state, as the builders show up, they have a good meeting and then they don't come back. And they're very frustrated and they don't trust anybody. And part of my reason for being here tonight is to hopefully build up the credibility that that's not who we are. We're not trying to find money, put money in our own pockets. We're trying to solve a problem. And we put a lot of money into land development in the last couple of months. And for me, what's really ideal is to come across a situation where I don't have to wait 2 years for land to get developed. You already have done it here. We are getting ready to go to Valley Center. Sorry, my voice is shot. We had a grand opening this morning and I had 500 people in the plant. But we spent the last 4 months with the City of Valley Center going through planning, zoning, city council meetings, changing the zoning because they had a rule. They don't even know where it came from, probably decades ago, that modular would not be allowed in certain zoning. So they changed it for us because they came, saw our product, they saw our plant, they knew we were for real. And they know that we're gonna build a showcase. And I told the City of Valley Center this morning, who was at the plant, that their tourism dollars are about ready to triple. Because every community across the state is gonna come see what we're gonna do. So Canaan's kind of second on our list. It's close, we can get out here pretty quickly. You know, I'm telling you, I'm also going to Goodland, Kansas, and I'm going to Mineola, and we're going to Pittsburgh. And I told the folks at Goodland, I'm like, you guys are great people, you're great farmers, but you are not first on my list because you're 5.5 hours away. But at the same time, their starter homes are $600,000 because they have to bring in the trades from Salina or Hayes or Denver. And the ones that come, they know where they're pricing, they know they got pricing power. And they just jam They just jammed it. So we're trying to take that back. We're gonna build houses in Goodland. And I'm confident coming out here. Cause I know I have $100,000 head start. We were in, what's the community, another RHID down by Anthony. Probably Harvard. And, they put a beautiful subdivision, 12 lots, paved, looks great. Brought in the builder. And the builder, they do 2-mile homes. The guy out of Wichita, good guy. But they're not moving. Oh man, I think I need it. They're not moving. And the city council can't figure out why. So look, I'll tell you why. I don't even need to study the market. You built homes and you priced them at $275,000. And you gave the builder a lot, right? He's got no specials. He doesn't have to pay for the land. You gave him a $25,000 tax credit per house. And he still landed at $275,000. Now, the people that need affordable housing in Harper, that's not their price range. And the people from Wichita that you think you're gonna attract, that's an hour away. It's just, you didn't really execute on the strategy the right way. So I told him we could come out and build the exact same home for $175,000. And we would guarantee we put price caps on what we're gonna charge. And they didn't want to go with us, at least not right now, because they'd already built those 2 stick homes. They felt an obligation to the builder to see this out, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna call back in 6 months. But it's an example of what really needs to be done. We need to understand the market. And in Kingman, we could put in affordable housing, price point of $150,000. The main difference between a starter home is it's not gonna have an attached 2-car garage. It's gonna have the same square footage. It'll have tornado shelter. We'll use Red Guard out of Wichita. They've got a 6x6 shelter that you go into. It's bolted to a concrete pad. If it wasn't a starter home, that'd be in the back of an oversized garage. And it's $3,500. So it really takes away the concern about lack of basement. We don't really want to build basements. To add a basement today is $75,000. It sounds absurd, but it is. It's the price of the concrete. You have to excavate concrete, waterproof, put in the French drains, the aggregate, backfill, build stairs, extra electrical work. By the time you're done, it's $75,000. And people are like, I really like a basement. I'm like, how about I build you an extra 800 square feet above ground? Where it's gonna appraise, it's gonna be more functional, it's living space. And oh, by the way, I just saved you the headache of having to fix basements that leak for the next 100 years, seriously. And most people accept that's a fair trade. In the meantime, you save a tremendous amount of money on having put in the basement right now, because concrete is off the chart expensive. So that's what we aim to do, is come out here. Figure out what kind of homes we need to put in here, probably a mixture of some affordable in this $150 price point, some starter homes that would be in a more typical new neighborhood in Goddard or Andover, or just to use the analogies of these suburbs around Wichita or Valley Center, and do a mixture. The homes are beautiful. Let me just show you some examples of them real quick. We've asked slides.
I gotta go a little way, Steve. Tell me when you want me to stop, okay?
I've covered the first 10 slides, but you have them. I've covered the first 20 slides probably.
You know what?
By the way,
You got into that a little.
this slide right here, this is our competitive advantage, right? And people like, at first I was thinking, I don't want to show this to anybody, because this is like the secret sauce. But then I'm like, but I don't. Think of it this way: there's 200,000 houses in Wichita, Kansas, or excuse me, Kansas. The most I can build is 300 or 400 homes a year, maybe 1,000 if I'm running all 3 shifts, and that's 1/2 of 1% of the market. I'd say bring everybody we can. I will show them how to go open a factory like this. The market needs it that bad, and it's like, you're attracting competition. I'm like, I want to attract competition. We're doing this to solve a problem. We're not doing this to line our own pockets. And that's why we're very willing to show you this math about how we get back to saving money. And you can see the negatives on there, which is the overhead. You can see the foregone basements, et cetera. All right.
You going? Here you go.
Yeah, yes, please, sorry.
You going?
Yeah, please. Okay, so these are some of our affordable models. Actually, even since we've done these, we've dressed these up quite nicely, even more so than what you see here. I'll just tell you the numbers. That Aspen on the right, that is more of a not-for-profit transitory home for maybe a shelter. It could be workforce housing, but it could be typically a sober living community. Those are 512 square feet, one bedroom, one bedroom. Everything is in there though. Washer, dryer, television, heating and air, everything. Appliances, refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave. That is a $55,000 bill. The Brookstone, is that our 2-2?
Yes, no, it's a 1-1.
That's okay, that's one.
Bigger, though.
Okay, that's the $65,000 bill. It's an extra 100 square feet. We do have duplexes, even though I don't want to build a lot of those. I'll tell you that duplexes in the Wichita market are gonna sell for, if they were at market, $350,000. That unit right there, we built for $150,000. The Parkview is a very popular unit. It's actually, we have a much better looking one than that now.
I'll see it in a minute.
That's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a great big bath. Both baths are beautiful. It's got great architecture on the inside. It's $100,000 cost to build that. Let's go to the next frame.
Now we begin the attention.
This is where we begin these starter homes. So our modular construction is everything to the left of that garage, except the modulars are going this way. They're going across the horizontally. And then we bring in the attached garage in a kit. So we build it as much as we can in the factory to take advantage of economies of scale, but we will assemble it out there. That way we can integrate that roof line into the roof line of the modules themselves. The other reason why I have to do that way is because you can't transport a module that's only got 2 of the 4 walls. One of the walls is the garage. The other wall doesn't exist because it's the common wall with the house. The only 2 walls that actually exist in the garage on this one is the one on the right and then the one on the back. So that has to be built in a kit, erected here on site. But beautiful homes. It's another example. This is another great example with a side loaded garage. By the way, we show metal roofs. The Valley Center, they're gonna ask us to put up shingles. We prefer metal because they're beautiful. They last 50 years. They withstand hail. They insure better because they withstand hail. Versus if you're using asphalt shingles, you're hoping for 12 years. And that's if you don't get the hail hit any quicker, right? And it's just that simple. Next one. Yeah, this is an example of our 4-bedroom.
Yeah.
With a detached garage. Next one. This is one of our favorites. We call it the Fairmount. How many square footage is that? You remember? 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
1,500-1,600.
Yeah.
It might be a little
I
longer.
think it's 1330, yeah, 1330. So that's gonna run, everything's gonna run about $90 a square foot, okay? But that does not count the additional garage at 25,000, including for that driveway and the pad, the pad for the concrete pad in the garage, and the $3,500 storm shelter built in the back of that thing. And these are oversized garages. I was kind of affordable housing when I was in Goodland. They took us through it. And these buyers from Denver, they come in with the big SUVs, it wouldn't fit. And it's like, we're not gonna make that mistake. Okay. So that gives you an example of what we're building. We've hired an architectural firm in Wichita, SBT, T stands for Tice, Greg Tice. He's helping us make sure we've got great plans to do more of these starter homes. This is an example of what we're doing in Valley Center. We'd love to take just 2 more minutes and show you a video of these 30 lots. What it represents is an exact replica of the neighborhood. These are beautiful lake lots, actually. The city was having a problem with Park River. They had flood control problems. They got some federal money. They put in their own money and they fixed the flooding problems. At the same time, created some beautiful ponds for stormwater that goes in behind a lot of these houses. So we'll show you that video right now. And I'm gonna keep drinking this water. Thank you. This is 3D animation, of course, but this is the exact replica of what we're gonna do. You will see some other homes in here that look like Frank Lloyd Wright. For those of you that don't know, those are just more flat roof. Our architect that we've hired is kind of inspired by him. So we agreed to let him to do some of this stuff and let his creative juices go. When I agreed to do this, and that's one of them there. He showed me a book written 80 years ago by Frank Lloyd Wright, and it's titled How to Build Affordable Homes Using Modular Construction. And I'm like, oh my God, the guy was 80 years ahead of his time, literally. And that's when I agreed to let him do some plans that reflect this kind of housing. Literally, if you brought a homeowner to these houses after they've been there. And you brought them in and you asked them which one's modular built, one was stick built, they would not be able to tell you. Just a couple more reasons why the quality is actually better. I'm a CPA, I was CFO for years and I had no idea I was gonna get into heating and air conditioning, technologies, but I'll tell you, mini splits are the way to go. The centralized heating and air conditioning is a thing of the past. It takes twice as much to install. You lose 30% of your energy to ductwork, and the damn air conditioners break every other year. Okay, now you can put mini splits in here, which we are doing in all of our housing, and you have to be careful what manufacturer you get. You get a Chinese manufacturer, they may offer you a 1-year warranty, and then about 18 months later, it starts breaking all the time. You go with Mitsubishi, that offers you a 12-year warranty, and I've gone through their books. They don't have warranty claims. And when you talk to the professional installers, they'll tell you this is the only thing I will put in my house, okay? The benefit of having our scale and our ability to purchase, is I went to Mitsubishi and said, look, we would love to use you, but in a 4-bedroom house, the total cost of your equipment is $12,000. I can go to the Chinese manufacturer and import it for $6,500. We'll buy 500 compressors a year from you and 1,500 heads. We will match that $6,500 price. That's the benefit of our scale. You can't do that stick building. And that's why I can tell you, we can actually get better quality with a system like that. The metal roofs, even though they're not for everybody, fine, we can put shingles. We double stud every 4 feet in these houses. The reason we have to double stud is because we transport them. And we want every single piece of plywood or drywall or whatever it is to be attached to its own 2x4. It helps with the construction, but it also improves durability. Wind speeds are better, energy efficiency is better. Many of these homes, utility bills in total will not exceed $150, $200 a year, depends on the home. So that's what we want to come to in Kingman. And Kingman is close, it's not Valley Center close, but it's close enough we can be out here every day to make sure we do it right. And if we do it, one thing I can assure you is that we are gonna follow through, we're gonna finish the work, we're not gonna leave you hanging, and we'll do it right. So with that, I don't want to take any more of your time. Just wanted to introduce you to who we are and see if you have any questions.
Are these all slab grade?
They're built on stone walls. Yeah, typically 4 feet deep, required by code. And they're all attached, permanently attached to the foundation. And actually wind speed rated. We use hurricane straps and everything else to put them on. And I was telling everybody this morning, 500 people, the primary difference between a modular home and a stick built home is the point of attachment of that first piece of wood to the foundation. And the stick build happens at the beginning of the process. And modular construction happens at the end. Everything else is the same, except for the quality of what we think we're putting through these houses. By the way, all fully inspected. We'll have inspectors in the plant full-time, because when it's modular, you can't get behind the walls once they're done. You will have inspectors come out from your own planning and building commission, building department, and they'll inspect the utility hookups, the water, the electric, the plumbing, the sewer takeaways, to make sure that's all done correctly. And they will flip on the lights and they'll turn on the water to make sure it's running, everything's fine. But the inspections that happen behind the walls, that happens by inspectors that certify that they were in there and they looked at one of the houses in the plant. This is just typical modular type of construction inspections. We could do slab on grade, but for us, we use a specialized technology where we do not have to use cranes to set the houses on the foundation. We will put a forklift, it's a specialized forklift, on the back of the trailer to bring the unit with it. And the forklift actually can pick this thing, they're very heavy, but the forklift is a mighty mow that picks it up and it will go through an opening in the stem wall. So if you imagine an opening, right in the middle, on the left-hand side of this, of the foundation, and all over on the right, it'll go through with the house elevated. And there is a riser and a header that presses up against the top of the house that holds that securely on the forks. So that you don't have it shaking or falling off the forklift when you're placing the foundation. Holds it secure, puts it on the foundation, backs away. You can go pick off the other one, put the other module down, and you can seam the house, waterproof it in 4 hours. Crew will be out of there on the same day. And then we're waiting for utility, and we come in and finish with the lots, grade them, landscape them, all that. It doesn't take long. And I told Valley Center, I thought that we would actually, I predict, we'll see. And this is stupid to do this, but I can't help myself. I told them I thought we'd be sold out by the end of the year. At these price points. There's so much pent up demand. So much pent up demand. Admittedly, I haven't researched your pent up demand. I know that we feel like it's probably pretty significant. Or you wouldn't have done RHD in the first place. But I also know that it's not moving. You need to work with somebody that can bring the solution, and we think that's us. Love to have you at the plant. We have model homes, physical, all this stuff. You can talk to our employees, talk to our people putting this stuff together. They're very proud to give tours.
Well, we have a similar problem that you mentioned earlier in that we have a couple houses that were built in 2016. And then we have one more recent, but it's been a while.
Yeah,
And so the efficiencies of putting up multiples also apparently appeals to you. There's empty individual lots as well. Do you have an interest in that realm, or do you see it more of building that neighborhoods at a time?
no, we can do both. And believe me, I just did 160 infills. And they can be challenging. It just depends on the lot itself. If you're building on a steep hill, I learned that's a bad thing to try to do. It's very difficult, costs a lot of extra money. Probably not a good place to do affordable housing. If you have a custom built home that somebody's willing to spend money on, that's fine. Sometimes you'll run into buried foundations, you gotta dig them up because there used to be a house there. And it just depends, what the cost gonna be. If you're gonna start with a cost on an infill, because you have to buy the land, or maybe land bank will give it to you. But if you get out there and you find problems like buried, it's hard to do affordable. But it's just as attractive otherwise. The utilities are already there, and we would test it. If you said that's how we want to go forward, we want to test it first in some of these info lots. We're here at your discretion.
So the modifications available would be on the finished materials.
Yeah, Yeah, we're obviously not gonna move walls and stuff because that defeats the economics of what we're trying to do. But we have plenty of customization options to give it, it's not just paint colors either, there's lots we can do with choices, not just material choices, but with how you do some of the finish work.
Gutters, stone.
Yeah.
Schemes, decks, porch, landscapes, split pitch roof, transom windows.
And when we talk about starting a project here, we're talking about spec home, basically. We're not talking about selling prior to building. We're talking about putting some in and,
Yeah, but I'm proposing that I take that risk.
right?
And I guarantee you that upfront, it's not gonna be more, I won't take price up above X. Because that's not our goal. And I realize I may lose a little money to move it, that's fine. We're testing and learning a little bit here. But I'm willing to bet the price point moves it. I mean, it's people, it's interesting, people, they have their own hopes and dreams on what their houses they wanna look like and all that, we're gonna try to meet all of those, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to price. If the quality's there, those are the two things that really matter.
Well, since you brought up the metal roofs, I'm gonna follow up, because I am in the insurance business. And so they are the class 4 rated type
Yes,
cover,
sir.
they're getting a discount, okay,
Yes, sir.
that's important too.
I'll give you another example. I mean, because I want people to really believe in the quality. So we have a Pella window distributor right next to our building in Wichita. And I become friendly with the guy and, he said, man, I really wanna bid your window packages. I'm like, dude, there's probably no way. You're just not gonna be able to hit the price when you need to. And so we go price out through Star Lumber, the window that basically every other builder in town uses, is called a window bar. And for one of our typical 2-bedroom, 2-bath, that window package is $1,800, $1,850. That's just for materials not installed. And I went back to Pella, I said, look, I want to use you because you are the most recognized brand in the country. They advertise like crazy. You can't watch a football game or something else without seeing Pella windows. And they came back and they said, we could do it for $2,600. I said, that's not good enough. I said, call Iowa, which is their headquarters, tell them what we're doing, tell them what we're gonna order, and tell them I'm gonna feature you in my marketing. When we're out there in Valley Center, it's gonna say SBT Architecture. But in Prime Craftsman Homes, by SBT Architecture, featuring Pella windows, Mitsubishi, heating and air, these high quality, they came back with $1,850. Wow, it's just working the economics of the volume we can do. So,
I was actually just talking to a realtor within the last few days, and she said right now we have 4 homes on the market, that's it.
I looked at Zillow today. We don't
Yeah.
have it.
4 homes, that's it, that are for sale that are not already under negotiations.
and
I
we,
definitely think we need something.
we've driven, I know the homes that you're talking about, that up there, we can make them look as good or better in summer. I'm not worried about that. I would have been worried about that honestly 6 months ago. We've really increased our inventory of what we can do. What we can't do, we can't go 2 stories yet. It's hard to do a forklift on that 2nd story. And I don't want to have to go out there and start stick building because it destroys the economics. So we have to run a crane. Cranes can be really expensive if they're in short supply, like $18,000 a day. You cannot go build a $150,000 house and get an $18,000 crane bill. It won't work. So we may buy a crane. We may buy a crane just like we bought our own tractor trailers. I now own 2 Peterbilts. And I used to own one as a kid and I finally got one, right? But they're moving these, I'm never gonna drive it, I'll probably never even sit in it, but we got them. And we needed to do that, we're trying to forward integrate background on everything. It's a little disappointing sometimes we're talking to cities, they're like, wow, you know, we wish we could use our plumbers and I wish we could use our landscapers, and we will do that. I mean, I intend to have people go out and do that, but if that's part of the deal, we will do that. In Valley Center, there's a landscaper particularly that was dying for our business. I said, look, just be close. You gotta just be close. We're trying to keep the stuff affordable. And if you are, then we would use you, because that's important to these communities.
So Greg, you may know best, that, we talked about it the other day. The minimums we currently have in that subdivision are 1,200 square foot and 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Okay. And stick built was the only other requirement. And that's really the part we need to negate if we want.
There was some conspiracy that occurred when when the lawyers put together RHB language. Because somebody made sure it said stick built only. That's okay. I'm just telling you, it's not necessary to get the result you're looking for.
So I was just asking Greg, it's technically, they're still technically stick built, it's just they're not stick built on site. That would be the real difference on site versus manufacturer. But they're still stick built, same material.
Better material and more material. You know, it's double studding every 4 feet.
So who has concerns?
If we pull the trigger, how quickly you have one up?
You know, we have our team trained. The timing on this is actually excellent, because we just literally hit a big milestone today. We opened up that plant. We've already been building, we've been training. I received $500,000 of job training dollars, and we've used it. You know, we're training these folks on safety. You know, we don't want them falling off roofs, killing themselves, cutting themselves with circular saws. And we took them to Tulsa, where our sister company's at, and shadowed their peer group for a week or two. Wichita State put in place modular training courses. They certified these folks as having completed these courses. They actually, with WSU Tech, they want to turn that into a 2-year degree program. They're also talking about a 4-year construction management program now. We'll probably help sponsor some of that one way or the other. But the point is, the teams are ready and they're building. And the book is going to fill up, but we have room right now to do some stuff. So we could literally have you know, say a month goes by doing paperwork, and then that next month, we're actually starting to work on foundations, while at the same time we're building. So we could have a house placed and be marketed by the 3rd or 4th, beginning of the 4th month. And obviously, sometimes it's easier to talk about your concerns in a private session, so we would be happy to come back or receive questions and answer them, have you up to the plan, whatever kind of due diligence you want to do.
I don't think, and maybe I missed it, but this memorandum of understanding, this proposal that we didn't go over that slide at all.
It's in that, oh, we can pull it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to just walk us through what you're proposing and.
Sure. We'll just pull right back up to this.
I forgot that we put that in.
That's it.
You got it? Going?
No. I'm just moving. Oh, I'm moving the black box.
There we go. Try it now. There we go.
I'm gonna go right to it, Steve.
Yeah.
Press more.
Those are some of those Frank Lloyd Wright inspired things.
And my apologies in advance, I have this saying memory lane, it's not called that anymore, I believe it's Sadie Street, so that one's. It's bad on the marketing back, here we go, I believe there might be, let me look real quick for you, okay, now, this is the slide that covers the proposal.
So, we said we'll price for home and cost plus 20,000 for appreciation. I mean, I honestly don't expect we'll make any money soon. The 20,000 is really probably gonna be contingency on costs we actually gonna end up spending. We'll offer 7,500 down payment assistance. I meant to mention this. We're working with 2 organizations. One of them, part of the 20,000. In my own mind, I was really wanting just to upcharge no more than 12,000. But knowing that down payment assistance is probably part of the key to move these quickly or to help people get into them. I'm confident these will appraise where they need to, so because we have this cost advantage, so if we bump the price up to 20 instead of 12.5. You can turn right around and give that money back to down payment assistance with no strings attached to a buyer. Having said that, we're working with two groups. Two huge foundations, one out of Kansas City, that is former CERN money called the Patterson Foundation. And then another foundation, Northeast Kansas, they wanna come together with us. And on the next 2,000 customers across the entire state, offer 30,000 of down payment assistance. $6 million. They already have the money sitting in the bank, been sitting there for 2.5 years, they're waiting for somebody. Like apparently like us to come along. So we know down payment assistance is important, that's the minimum though and at the time, I wasn't as fully developed with these other alternatives. There's another one that I won't even bother you with now, but that was how I came up with that down payment assistance number, I think it'll be important. And we said, we'll do this, for 6 lots to start, we're asking you to contribute that at 0 cost, just to keep this affordable. I've seen the lot, some of them are gonna require some dirt work that I wasn't anticipating. So I'm probably more stuck on making sure these first few, as we experiment, are at 0. But recognizing that there are a total of, how many are there total? 16 in total out there.
Up to 19, I
19.
believe.
So we were modeling this after some we're doing with Mineola. They have 30 lots. They said, let's just do 6 at a time. Let's make sure that we both know what we're doing. And we said that it's actually very smart, you know, because I was initially planning to take off 30 lots. Mineola, why Mineola? Because Dodge City's attracted a bunch of new business and they got about 3,000 new employees coming to that part of the state. They have no workforce, they have no housing. And as it turns out, people want to live in that school district in Mineola and not Dodge City. So, and then I said, if we're successful, you know, we'll actually buy the lots, you know, because if it's working, $5,000 not gonna change the economics and it gives you a chance to put some money in your own bank, or to go do something else with it. I did notice that, the streets aren't all the way paved. There's at least a couple surrounding streets. It'd be nice if they were with the kind of product we're trying to bring, but that's a separate discussion altogether, and not a requirement. And so that's really all we were suggesting here is that we will tier into this. As described there, I think agree with that.
Do you have the 6 lots selected that you're preferring, or are you allowing us to?
You guys can choose them. Okay, you can choose them. And if you want to do 4 in there and 2 infills, we'll start on the infills first. You know, back to you, how you're thinking. We don't have any rules to the road here. It's really, we're at your discretion. Nothing happens unless you guys want to do business with us. We're not naive to that. So my job tonight is to convince you should, because we are gonna, you can trust us. And then to go prove it, that we can actually do this. And it's not that we can do it. I know we can do it. Is this gonna work with our customers? I fully believe it will. I know it's working in other, like in Tulsa. I know it worked well. In Wichita, we brought up 5 homes. They moved just like that. You know, and you know, where the soft part of me gets really soft is when you're at these closings and these kids come in. And, or they come to see the house for the first time, they get to see they have their own bedroom. I mean, it's destroys it. In a good way.
How fast would some of us be able to get a tour of your plan? I mean, if we
Yeah.
Is it as fast as next week?
Well, if you got up at 6 in the morning, we could see at 7. We'll have people there.
I get up at
You tell us,
All right,
be there.
we'll be there at 5. No, it's morning, yeah, whatever you want, and that's not because I have a sense of urgency here, I'm just saying whatever you guys are ready, come on. I think
We have 10 years of pent-up urgency.
Yeah.
okay. Unless you have other questions, we'll head home, but, and we're available at your discretion.
And how many options did we have at 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
We have,
2, probably 3, and we've also have 4s if you wanna look at those, so we can do 3s and 4s. And 2 or 3 of each in different configurations of the floor.
we have, on the 2-bedroom side, we have 2 different affordables, 2 different starters. And two different, inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright, no, one different, inspired, actually two, from Frank Lloyd Wright. We have to stay inspired by, or else we have to pay a fee, a royalty to the foundation.
Good catch.
On the 3-bedroom side, I think it's 1, 1, and 1. And on the 4-bedroom side, it's 1, 1, and 1. And we also have those smaller ones, the 1-bedrooms. I mean, I don't know what you think about those, and if you wanna do those, it depends on how much affordable housing you actually want of the single family variety versus multi-family. But like I said earlier, those are fantastic units, and they price out at $55,000 to $65,000.
And for infills, maybe on those, so I wouldn't mind discussing among ourselves, but we're at 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200, we've had 3 go in already, do we owe them sticking with that requirement?
I think if we go smaller, we're limiting ourselves. Meaning,
If we stay 3 and 2.
you think?
Can I say something here? Our housing assessment that we had done indicates the most needed housing in our community is 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I don't think it would probably, I don't think we should probably go smaller than that, at least on these lots.
We're happy to do those and, you know, have enough variety to the way we put them in there that they don't look like row houses. That's just with me. You know, these duplexes,
They're awful.
it is so embarrassing. I mean, it's embarrassing to be a member of the city of Wichita. See that?
There's thousands of.
It's the only way they can build. And finally, these building departments are trying to wake up and the city council's like, we gotta stop this nonsense. You know, and then, you know, Goddard comes out and says, we're gonna make you plant trees, and then everybody just throws it, yeah. And it's like, Jesus. You're not even addressing the problem, the builders, you know, blow up, because they gotta plant 2 trees, it's just a show. Sorry, thank you for letting me speak candidly.
We're getting you fired up.
It's a joke, we're not sure,
Down Steve, tell them how you feel.
yeah, it's not good, it's not good, but I understand it, my son lives in one of those duplexes, it's all he can afford. So, you know what, I don't like it, but I like it, but I don't like it.
What was the price on the 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Or the price range?
It's 1,300 square feet. And, so that is gonna run, it depends on what we have to do on the lot, but I'll estimate these things. It's gonna probably run right around 180 to 190,000, that's all in, everything. Versus what you're looking at anywhere else, 260 to 300,000.
Is that with the garage?
Yes, sir, 2-car garage.
It is.
Sure. Yeah, that includes a 2-car garage, okay. If we didn't have the 2-car garage, we don't have to. We could just, you know, driveway park and put them under a carport. You're gonna save about 25,000 off that number. But what's attractive about the garage is it depends on what's important to you and the buyer. Is that's where you bolt in that structure.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to go pour a separate concrete pad in the back of the house. Next to where you're probably gonna have a grill on a patio. It's just, I think it's more appropriate to have in the back of that garage. Or not at all. You know, I got a lot of criticism for these 5 we built and brought up here because they're like, there's no storm shelters. I'm like, well, why aren't you worried about the other 80% of the homes already in Wichita that have no basements? Why are you attacking me, right? But it's a sensitive issue, and I don't wanna be that guy that doesn't have a choice for it. Cause then the big F1 will come through, I'm gonna feel really bad, didn't happen. So,
But when you attach the garage, are your trading holes in the garage itself, or are they still in the house? Your storm shelter?
the storm shelter will come out separately. And we will just bolt it right in the back of the garage, having the concrete is
We'll
poured.
pour, bolt it down, and then bring the.
We should have images of that. You can go look them up. So Red Guard is an actual company in Wichita that builds glass-proof resistant buildings. They started off with a company called Sightbox. You've seen the Sightboxes, which are it's what they were doing with old trailers to try to reclaim them and make use of them. And they turned into a construction business, blast resistant buildings for like refineries or fertilizer plants or chemical plants. which we were a big customer at Coke, because we have all of those things. And if you have an office right in the middle of your production facilities, you got 20 people in there, and you have an explosion at the plant, you're gonna wish you had blast persons disabilities. They're so high quality, in fact, that the bunker bombs that hit Iraq, they predict, they don't know, never tested it, but these things will withstand those blasts. So we do know they're F1 rated, F1 Tornado rated and bolted in, and
I'll send you spec sheets on the ones that we're gonna put in.
ironically, the biggest problem they say they have with them is that homeowners will just fill them up with junk. And then they're not available to them when they need them.
So then they would have an interior door that went into them from the house.
So you'd be in the back of the garage, you go from the house to the garage, and you get inside of it through a door. And then,
Is that door like a hurricane strength door? or-
yeah,
It's also got an escape hatch if debris hits and it can't get out of the main door.
two ways out of
Go
it,
off the top.
yeah,
How much do these storm shelters?
$3,500.
35.
It's another one, they started off at $6,000, we just pounded them.
Have you looked into community shelters? Cause I've seen these kind of housing communities put that together.
So, yeah, and where there are, 20 homes being clustered or more, people are talking to us about a community center that will be storm rated.
Mhm.
But those are typically gonna be not-for-profit situations where you're working on behalf of the community that just has 20 or 30 homes. I'm not sure how that would work in a residential setting. But you have clubhouses and you would have an HOA at some point that would manage that common area. I don't know if you're envisioning, I wasn't really envisioning HOAs in this situation here. You need to do something like that to manage the common area. Otherwise, it's probably better just to put it in the garage. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Yeah,
Thanks for coming out.
Alright.
Any other questions or comments, discussion?
Would like to know our path forward.
I want to look at his blood, I want to go look at his operation. ASAP. ASAP.
Agreed.
So did Daniel want to arrange that for the interested parties to go look?
Yeah, if you guys wanna send me your available schedules, I'll definitely get something set up for you.
Yeah. We would love that. Your confidence level is gonna go back after the tour.
We have to do it in smaller groups.
And I'm okay not going. Merlin talked to him.
As long as I put out the numbers.
Okay.
We okay. I would think.
Right about.
We'll be kind of gonna see. Yeah.
Well, we had several homes that were moving in here from Mound Ridge, route up there. That one set of wells, a lot of them homes were moved in the years past, and they're nice homes. I think it'd be a good deal to get moving on it.
I do too.
Try some.
Unless you're holding out for the concrete printed ones.
I don't think that's gonna happen. That'd be cool. I don't think.
We've studied them. They're not quite ready for prime time.
Are they?
Yeah.
What's the downside?
Concrete. It's the cost. The problem is you gotta bring all this expensive equipment. It's like the crane rental issue. You gotta bring all this expensive equipment to actually get prepared to pour. And then it does work. It's 3D printed, but it's, unless you're doing like a massive commercial, like strip center or something, pretty big one, it's hard to make it pay. And in the case of residential, you better be doing 10 or 15 of them at the same time.
Thank you.
Was it gonna cheapen them foundations up if we do 4 or 5 at a time like the crew's here?
That's part of what we hope to do. That's partly why we request to do 4 or 5 or 6. We'll pour every foundation the same day. Yeah, leverage that crew, no question.
Leslie, you're still on. In the land bank, what do we have through town? Do we have a couple or not?
Aside from the memory lane lots, we don't have any until the next item, agenda item. Then we'll have one.
Yeah, you guys are in town doing this anyway. I guess part of the question would be, what if you had a resident who was interested in doing that on their own and coordinating time wise.
For infill.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're open for business, right? It's in my best interest to try to, and it's not just to keep volume for the sake of volume. It's because it'll save me that $40 spread between 50 and $10 if the plant's more effectively run. And then the people are happier. We're hiring a lot of great people, a lot of second chance employees. They're so proud to be there. And I was talking to one yesterday. He was 12 years in the Marines. He's got decorated, from tons of combat. He gets back to the US, starts doing drugs. Now he's coming out of a sober living house. And I mean, he's bawling. He's so happy that somebody took a chance on him, and he is killing it. And he set an example for everybody else about what real work looks like. It's incredible.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you from
Thank
Penny
you.
and I too. And bonus, I got to see Father Andy. I didn't anticipate seeing Father Andy. Like, Father Andy. So.
Sorry to hold you all up.
Alright, on to 4B, 737 North Elm Street. That was a typo on there.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna vote for Dad's house in
Is that your? Yeah, we put that typo right before, we started the meeting. So 737 North Elm.
Maybe he wants it.
We
just need a motion to accept.
So,
I would make a motion to accept the plan at 737 North Elm Street. I'll second.
alright, we have a motion and a second to accept 737 North Elm into the land bank. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. And I don't know if you guys have seen the work that has been done at 737 North Elm? You wanna just,
To make the property more attractive for somebody to come in and want to develop on it. I mean, it was just completely full of foliage, trees, other growth. So that's the process that's been starting to be removed. The stumps are still obviously gonna be there, but now you can actually see the house, and I honestly didn't realize, I was telling the mayor a little bit ago. I didn't realize how big that property actually was until it started to be cleared out, so I think it's gonna be an attractive property now that it's in land bank.
A little of that, yeah.
agreed. Alright, 54 and Broadway lot.
I'd make a motion to accept 57 Broadway lot into my.
That's second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the 54 and Broadway lot into the land bank. Any comments or discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
If we were taking it in the land bank, we decide we want to do something different with it, we can take it right back out, right?
Yes.
Good.
And we did say last time that it is zoned commercial, correct?
Yeah, it should be C2, which is your highway commercial.
Can you build residential on that lot?
I would have to reread the code book to verify. I know C1, you can typically C2 is pretty restricted because it's on the highway, but
Well,
I'd have to re-verify the code.
Before,
Yeah, I'd have to re-verify.
let's look at motel to start with.
Which one? Yeah, as the motel, that's a. Motels can go on in C1, C2. So if that's where it started, that's probably what it was zoned at and just never reclassified through conditional use.
Here's Lord.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the land bank, Andy.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the land bank. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right. On to back into our regular commission meeting. On to number 8, Champlin Park for discussion, non-action item.
So we had talked at one point in time about it going to the park board to get their opinion, and there was no action taken by the park board, but it was pretty consistent that the idea for Champlin Park, for the art park, was pretty much a no-go from them. That's at least my opinion I got from. So, but like I said, they didn't actually take any quote-unquote action on it. So that's why that's just here, because it was asked for an update, and that was the update from the park board.
Any discussion on what their reasoning was, or?
It's just my opinion of what they were talking about. It's difficult to, I don't know how to navigate that question.
Actually, I think the biggest item was at this point was that, of course, right now, the park board's kind of zeroed in on 8th Street Park. And some stuff down in Riverside Park, was that at this point, it's just not on the agenda. But the idea of the art, they kind of shot it down pretty quick for several different reasons, but not none that really stood out
Right.
to me. I mean, I think that if it was brought to them and, a specific what wanted to be done, then they would make a decision one way or the other. But at the time they were talking at it, they just wasn't much support at this time.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, on to new business 10A, disc golf course proposal.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Cook. We're here to seek approval to install a 9-hole disc golf course at Riverside Park. With Walker Park going away or not on the table anymore, I think the community would benefit from a course down at Riverside. If you're not familiar with the sport, it's a same principle as a normal ball golf. You throw a disc, wherever it lands, you pick it up and you keep throwing until you make it into the basket, and you move on to the next hole. It allows anyone from kids up to seniors to get out there and play, encourages people to be outside, be active, and causes more people to be down at the park. So I think we can really benefit from something like that. So you haven't seen the map, I believe everyone maybe should have. I have 5 young kids that like to be at the park, so when I designed this, I put their kids' safety in mind. So it skirts around the walking path, completely avoids the playground areas and the main areas of congregation. And not only is it the design thoughtfully laid out, it's been tested. I have a few baskets of my own that I took down there and placed where the baskets are arrayed on the map. And I moved them as I went, but I played it, thought it went perfectly after I made some changes, and this map shows the final adjustments. But it's utilizing the land at the park that we have to make 9 holes fit comfortably.
Is 8 and 9, is that back in the Owls edition?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's what I thought.
This would be no cost to the city. The rec has agreed to fully fund the project. And that includes a vendor out of Emporia, one of the major disc golf companies, is Dynamic Discs. They're located in Emporia. I've worked with them to get a budget and a quote for everything. The install would include 9 metal baskets. They're commercial grade baskets there's a metal sleeve that gets concreted into the ground, and the basket and the pole is what slides into that sleeve and gets padlocked in. So at any point you can take the baskets out for it if anything was needed for that reason. There would be T-pads that were concreted in. They're about 5 foot by 10 foot. We are able to use 4 of those using the existing sidewalks, so we could limit more of a footprint we have down there. And so 5 of those would be needed. And a main sign, main kiosk sign at the beginning, and then each keypad would have their own small little a sign as well that shows the layout, so people know exactly where to throw it or baskets located. That's kind of the main gist. Happy to talk about any questions you might have.
What kind of liability is there if like somebody hits a car or? I'm not a very good thrower, so.
Yeah, so did a lot of research on that, and it shows, this really falls under the normal parks, risk management plan, so it'd be no different than a baseball getting foul ball behind the bleachers and hitting somebody or a parked car.
So I, hole number one, I don't know if you call them holes or what they are, but
Yeah.
you're throwing right in towards the highway right there. And
Yeah,
I know you know what you're doing, but my concern would be kids throwing in that direction and chasing them up on the road. I'm not really concerned, they're plastic discs, right? So
yeah,
the odds of them damaging a car are probably pretty low. If it hits a car and they swerve and they hit somebody else, then there's an issue there.
yeah.
But you're also sunk down below that overpass, so.
Yeah, and I went down and looked at it, and I put the basket kind of right in that middle of that group of that trees. And just like you said, it's downhill, so I mean, there's always a possibility, might not be, if it's not in a big open field, there's not gonna be a perfect place to do this, but
Right.
that's a common theme throughout all these small town city park courses. That they go around a walking path, there's roads around, people don't throw their cars driving by or people walking on the sidewalk. Yeah, I completely understand the concern. It is kind of, I've never seen anything like that ever happen, not saying it doesn't
Sure.
happen, but.
The other concerns that I have are water hazards, right? I mean, you're gonna be throwing right along the mill race there. You're gonna be throwing around the pond.
Yes.
So what happens when these get lost? How easy are they to recover? Who's going to be recovering them? What's the plan there?
Yeah, that's kind of the part of the fun, is that there's a little risk there. Depending on how you're gonna strategize how you throw it. A lot of times it might go into the water, you can get into the water and get it, or you just leave the disc, and then it washes up to the shore at some point and people find it.
Yeah. I mean, my hope is that this is popular and a lot of people bring their discs out and not a whole lot of them end up in the water, but. Are there concerns of that? Cause that's before the mill race gates. And then of course the pond. And how are we gonna recover those? Cause we don't want private citizens jumping in the pond. We don't want private citizens definitely jumping in the mill race. Especially right before the dam. Yeah, I mean, that could be disastrous.
Or the disc expensive.
No, they're about $10. I mean, there are some more expensive ones, but some of the reasons it's very affordable for people to play. It's only about $10. It's very worth.
And I'm thinking about limiting our liability. That, I don't know that there's signs posted up around the pond yet or along the river, but basically if something goes in there, no one can go in
The
there.
pond is posted.
And there is an ordinance that you cannot get in the middle of this.
You cannot get in the mill race
Yeah.
for the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pond's posted right there at the first sign, right there by Hoover.
And there's a sign at the front. I don't know if you can still read it. It's there.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of the signage for the course, we could state that on there, can't get into the water.
Yeah.
We can have smaller signs that go along the water that could get posted up, posted on, any of the existing poles that we have over there that. We say stay out of the water, whatever's needed.
Well, along the mill race, you probably got just about as much with one of them geese walking in front of you. And you all in it.
We don't enforce that with people.
And your first concern would have been, I think, about the highway would only be like station one, is that
Right.
what you're looking
Yeah.
at? And a guy maybe could move that one further east on that riverbank up there or on the dike.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, it could be moved up to that higher ground right up there to where it's not gonna get overgrown.
We had a special park board meeting Wednesday to Tuesday. specifically for this, and we looked at this. Park board looked at it very hard and there was some motion and it was passed to back it up. I mean, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Looks to me like if it brings people into Riverside Park, you can, just as long as they're considerate of the walking path and that kind of stuff, which people are not too worried about
Yeah,
that.
walkers, park goers, they always have the right of way. If someone's there, you simply just wait for the.
And your plan is if it seems like it's gonna work, then maybe come back in and pour those paths like
Yeah,
like we talked about them, yeah.
yeah, I think, that it's not necessary, it's not a constraint to get started on it, so we can get it going, get the baskets in, build some popularity, get the sponsorships out, and then pour the pads after it.
I kind of like how it was laid out through the park. Cheney Lake just moved theirs. I talked to Eric about that the other day. If you go in the south entrance, they have a 9-hole to the right side. But it's just kind of open fieldish and doesn't have a whole lot of personality, where this one is a little more. It's creative and done well.
Other discussion, comments?
We just need to make a motion to approve it.
Yep.
I'd make a motion to allow the rec to put in the disc golf course in Riverside Park.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the disc golf course proposal. Any other questions or comments?
The only, you're gonna put up a big sign, where would you plan on locating it?
So down by, the first tee pad, so on the other side of the basketball goals, I think would be the best spot for that. The full court basketball goals at the northwest end.
And so the rec board is taking this project on. Your motion is sponsored by the rec board. I'm gonna overseeing construction aspect. What's that look like? Is Eric doing this?
Yeah, it'd be, through the rec, we work with Greg down in the city to make sure everything's exactly where he would want it to be, and we've already talked to him about it. And then we find volunteers to actually do the installations.
And you think at each one of these holes, you're gonna have a sign to go to the next one?
Yes, yeah,
And you think there'll be room on that sign to state of warning, stay out of the water, not go swimming?
yes, and I think, the no swimming part, we'd have standalone signs on poles as it goes down that river. As down the mill race.
You aren't gonna be able to fit them in much longer. I guess you could put it on the land side of it, but between the sidewalk and the river, there's no room to really put a sign in there, so I just caution you
Okay.
on your placement.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're around the area, especially as you enter those
Well,
holes.
really, the only one that's gonna affect that too much would be Station 5.
Right. Station.
6 and 7 would have a little bit, but 7 would have some.
6 and 7 would be around potentially the pond, right?
Yes.
Which you said we had signs up around the pond already?
There is a sign right there at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and being just those two, I would have no problem having its own sign right there next to the tee pad, yeah,
Okay.
that you mentioned.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Great,
Thank you for your patience.
yeah, it's okay,
You know, we
it's worth it.
need to make sure that, locate's done and stuff before a guy gets digging holes. I mean, I can come down and dig your holes for you if you need to, skid steer,
Okay,
but we need to get them located and whatever else. I don't know if we need to talk to Carrie maybe, or
when you say Greg's already aware, Greg and Carrie, but we got a little bit of this, okay. Okay. Perfect.
but need something just called relate to them, so. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thanks, everyone.
All right, 10B, HB 2116, mandatory contract provisions.
This is brought about by changes in the legislature this year. There were multiple changes that did impact cities, including the one Dale talked about, the by right housing. I've written Dan a memo, we're going random about that and give it details about the by right housing. Mandatory contract provisions, the legislature's mandating cities of the second and third class to use a Department of Administration form that's attached to all state contracts. It also allows the cities to eliminate certain provisions for that, and there are some in that form that do not apply to cities at all. So I have prepared this, I've eliminated those. And then the ones that are required that are non-removable, they are also listed, I've coded them with the specific section of the statute. Like number 12, responsibility for action. That is language was specifically in the statute, and that's where it came from. The same for number 13. And then I think that there's one early, number 2. And also, those are the 3 areas that the legislature would not let cities get out of. So this goes into effect next week. And so what this would do is, and most of these terms I have in contracts anyway. But going forward, if the city has contracts, and many of them are supplied by the vendor contracts. So that italicized language is what would need to be added to that, along with attaching the mandatory contract provisions. And the 5 other cities that I have, they're smaller, except for South Hutch. I talked to them about maybe getting a stamp, or they could the contract provision language on, so they could just stamp the vendor contract, fill some things in. That might be an option for Kingman as well, because there's multiple contracts, vendor supply contracts that I never see. But this would keep it so, but as I told Dan, the department heads need to be aware of this because it needs to be. So I thought maybe getting stamps might be a way to do that. So that's the first one is the mandatory provision from the House bill. The second one is independent contractor. This last year, KMET, and that's our workers' comp carrier, asked us to, not just us, but asked its members to make sure that it put independent contractor specific language in contracts to make it clear that they weren't covered by our workers' comp. And so, and I, at that time, I asked Cody to put those type of provisions in there in our contracts, and we started using them. I wanted something a little more. So this is the form modeled after what Central County uses. And I think it's important to make clear that the city is not trying to abridge the right of the independent contractor, where we could maybe back into them being considered being an employee. And covered by our policy, but by our benefits. So this just kind of sets it out that you're not an employee. We're not going to tread upon your rights as a contractor. And so when we do, this will probably come in service agreements. We would then again attach this to the contracts as well, just to protect the city in terms of an independent contractor.
Isn't this kind of what we've had?
We do. And the HB 2116, it is not uniformly applicable to all cities. So city could use its home rule to charter out of it, but I think it's reasonable provisions to have in a contract, and this, it ultimately saves me having to type them up every time. I could just use this addendum and say these apply to the we've got venue clauses, we've got choice of law, we've got all those that we put in our big contracts. So I think the statute allows that the governing body approves the omissions. One of the omissions was reference specifically to state agencies. There's no way it would ever apply to cities. So I just asked the commissioner to approve both of these so that we can start. And actually, I had used the independent contract on those demos we did. I included it in the demo. Because it's just really important that we make clear that they are not employees and there's no way that they can get benefits or make claims.
Well, this don't look much different than any contract I've ever signed with an entity. As far as,
It just gives us that.
So are you looking for approval?
Yes, please.
For both of,
We do with one motion, or we need to?
Let's do two because one of them is statutory, you know, there's specific approval of minutes for the one statutory.
Okay.
So the first would be to adopt the mandatory contract provisions required by HB 16.
So moved.
Second.
who's gonna get it?
Okay, you can have it.
Mark's got the second?
I don't want my name in the motion. I don't want my name in the minute.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the mandatory contract provisions for HB 2116. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
And then a motion to approve the mandatory dependent contract.
So moved. I'll say this one.
We have a motion and a second to approve the independent contract provisions. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, on to 10C, Great Lakes Polymer Winter Storm Uri reimbursement contract.
All right, I'll take this one too. This goes back to 2021. When Winter Storm Uri impacted the city, and folks will remember that we had to have surcharges added to kilowatt hours and whatnot to deal with the city's over $1.2 million costs for that storm. Great Lakes, FabPro, they are a contract customer. So they were not, the surcharge was not applicable to them because they're on a contract. And at the time, I believe Adrian was the mayor. We had a meeting where all of the parties and the German owners of FabPro, and we made it clear what the problem was. And they agreed that they needed to pay their share, but they asked us to postpone it while they were still trying to get their feet under the owners. And as time passed, they kept asking that every year. Well, last year, it was after I had resigned or retired that I didn't want to let this die. I didn't want anybody to forget about it. So I told Great Lakes, I said, we gotta settle up. You know, and so that started the process rolling. And when John came on board, he asked me to continue to handle that. And so I've been dealing with folks with FabPro's. I don't know how Master Builders is kind of, it's, I guess, sort of the same German company. But I've been dealing with Master Builders staff in Cincinnati over this. And we've had multiple negotiations, and I've been keeping the commission and the city administrators up to date on what's going on. Ultimately, we've come to what I believe is a fair settlement for the issue. The city imposed the surcharge on all of its customers for essentially 2 years. It was attached to the monthly billings for 2 years. This does the same thing for FabPro. It's what they would have paid during those 2 years if we have charged them the 1 cent surcharge. So that ends up being a total of $382,020. They have requested to pay that out over 4 years. And they would be due by June 30. They've already asked for wire instructions in the account. I don't know if you sent that to her yet.
I just set a reminder for me to do that tomorrow first.
So that they can pay it. So this resolves it, once all the payments are made, all the leaves were all done. And I think it's a fair agreement because we're treating the largest customer we have, which is about a third of our load, we're treating them the same with regard to this extraordinary circumstance that we did the rest of the customers. So I think they have already signed off on it. And so I would ask the commission to approve it to put this matter. So moved.
If, because that company has changed hands multiple times, if that happens again, how is this payment plan gonna play out?
It follows whoever it's a debt of the company.
Okay.
And it follows them. It follows the company. It follows whoever owns it.
Well, does the new contract address this issue?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it did. I didn't. Thank you. Second.
And the income that we'd be getting here, what fund does that go into?
It'll go to life service.
Okay.
Because that's where we paid it out.
Okay.
It's weird, I say. Once we play that, so that circle.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Great Lakes Polymer Winter Storm Uri reimbursement contract. Any other questions or comments?
If you look at the specific provision of the contract, the section 8, where it talks about successors and assigns, where the contract follows them.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Thanks for getting that worked out, Greg.
All right, on to city manager's report.
My favorite part of the meeting. I do want to point out that the city crews have been dealing with the rain and flooding issues for the past 2+ weeks. Everybody is aware how the mill race was. The gates were jammed and wasn't letting the water flow out properly. The crew worked pretty much through the weekend to get that fixed. So I do want to make sure that they get recognized for that, because I've been here about 6, almost 7 weeks. And I honestly don't think that the Public Works has had a weekend off. And so I just want to make sure everybody's aware how hard that they are working to keep everything running and going. The power outages were outside of our range, as I call it. They had Pratt issues, coming here at the substation. We talked about it all the time, the line wasn't correct. And then this last time was on the opposite side, the same substation. The budget is a daily activity. Learning the history of Kingman has been a vital part of this. Why numbers look the way they do and why they look the way they looked in the past. I have sent multiple drafts to the mayor and vice mayor, as you guys are budget committee with me. Most recently is shortly before the meeting, you guys got another version of the draft, plus all the documentation that has led to it now. So you guys are, you should have a full package of why the numbers look in some places where they look. But there's definitely room and some work that needs to be done. Been working with KDOT for the C-Clip projects. The latest RFQ was due June 1st, and 3 engineering firms submitted bids. KDOT had me create an LPO selection committee. There is 5 people on that. One is myself, Carrie from Public Works, Zach, and then I asked Commissioner Wolin and Arnsdorf to represent the elected side. So those are due anytime. So we'll have it on the actual agenda for the commission. You guys will have a full package on what all 3 had submitted, so that way you guys have well, you guys need to make that, but that'll be on the July 9th agenda. To select the engineering firm for the next phase of the Highway 54 Sequent project. July 6th, Tim will be preparing for the new highway lights on 54 in Main, so that's exciting. Department quarterly reports will be given the night of July 9th, since it'll be the end of the second quarter. So looking forward for the staff to be able to tell you guys what they've been doing over the last 30 months. They get to brag on themselves and talk about all the hard work that they've put in. And then again, I do wanna, bring up the fact that the city staff, they have done a great job battling against the rain, especially with that no race. They do a lot to, for the community, and I honestly think that they need to be thanked as much as possible. Because, you know, sometimes it's just, you get beat down, and eventually it comes to I rather quit and go find something else. Because we all know you guys are elected and you feel the same thing too, it's a thankless job at times. And so if you guys do see them or talk to them, it would be nice to hear from your guys' side of the house, but thank you from them to them as well. ECK property up west of the airport, I talked to them today on the phone. They are going to sell that property west of the airport. The city of Kingman has first right of refusal, so that will also be on July 9th agenda to give you guys an
What was
opportunity.
that? East C? Oh, that's the property. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Sorry.
So it is.
Yes.
That's all I got, thank you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner comment, Commissioner McFarland?
I just had one thing, I meant to bring my city bill. And I think part of it's a mail issue. Cause I've sent a check to the hospital to go. Hasn't shown up yet. Usually, you could roll it there on your knee. Quicker. But I got my, I think the cut off the 15th or something of May. 10th of May, cause I'm 10th of May. I got it the 4th of June and it's due on the 10th. That's not very, and that's fine, I realize that it's probably the mail issue. But is there any, and I think I've talked about this before, but we've changed systems since then, I think a little bit, so. Is there any way that we can get the bill out quicker than 3 weeks from the time, look a month from the time it's due?
Unfortunately, no, because there's so much that goes into the meter reading and happening to do all the calculations for all the different routes and verify like water leaks and stuff like that. Betsy is usually struggling to get it all done by the 30th, and then she sends the bills out like on the last day of the month.
Right.
And then, yeah, so to the faith that
Four or 5 days later, one shows up and they got 5 days to pay your bill.
people have the option.
That 10th, isn't it due by the 10th, maybe move that dates down a day or two. To give you a little bit.
People have the option to get their bill via email.
They can,
And
okay.
that is instantaneous. So,
So they get it for 30.
yes,
They have 10 days, okay. If that's, I wonder if that, I was gonna ask my next question, if that's an issue for them, because, I mean, the more you depend on snail mail, the worse it gets. Or let
you can just call up here, you can tell them that you want your statements by email and we'll get it switched over to,
you know,
where you can get it both.
you know, it's not a problem for me, but somebody was, didn't know that, you know, it's in the summertime, they're expecting a $300 bill and they got a $50 bill. So it's gonna make a difference in how they can pay it, so. But that's just what I was thinking, so, you know. Good deal. So, okay, that's all I have.
Commissioner Wolf?
Just a little follow-up, walking by the mill race and the, gates, and then, so we have one that's chained up now, it didn't function. Was it water pressure on the two that they couldn't get?
It was just a jammed up bad motor. All motors have been purchased for replacement, so we don't go through that in the near future.
no other impacts really, just, okay. I saw the wiring was just open and waiting for the next motor, so we're replacing all 5 gates. The Jake brake signs, I had a constituent bring this up, and I was very happy to jump on board with this. I sit at my house a mile away and listen to truck after truck with Jake brakes, and this guy lives on the highway. And 2, 3 in the morning, they come with their Jake brakes, and I guess this is really addressed to the law enforcement. But I would really like to see us put new signs that are bigger and see it enforced. Cause it's just really offensive to the community. Basically, it's a middle finger driving through town, isn't it?
So on Jake brake enforcement, we absolutely can enforce it in the city limits. I caution people that Jake brake violations can't occur outside of the city. Even though you can hear the noise in the city, we can't enforce the ordinance until they're physically in the city.
And I don't see where they're at.
Right.
That's true, okay.
So I will emphasize to the, especially evening and night shifts, that we should be watching for that. But I also want to inform the public that it's not gonna eliminate that noise coming into the city. Just a violation if they commit that offense inside the city limits.
I appreciate that clarification. Can we get new signage on, is it visible significantly at all 3 entrances?
I am a huge proponent for putting up signs. I put big flashy signs for the speed limits, and we're still catching speeders. So I am an advocate for as much signage as possible, but I guarantee we'll still find violators.
I know that's true. But it kind of sends a message that it is important to us.
Absolutely.
I think this week has shown that our park and that our main park in town isn't a floodplain. If that's not readily apparent, just wanted to make that note. And a clarification that our main park is in a floodplain. I mentioned Julie's last meeting, Why I Love America. I think it'd be good for all of us to write up why we love America. I also wrote one when Leslie had our little contest for this. So mine says, and it's 250 word limit, so you're in luck. But I welcome the challenge to express what has been true in my life. My love for this country was ignited as a youth growing up in America, fanned and aflamed by the opportunities presented, and has become a beloved part of my personal history. I grew up in Elkhorn, Nebraska, allowing me to celebrate this country in many ways. Nebraska's centennial celebration in 1967 was my introduction to celebrating the history and opportunity found in America. Parades and community celebrations introduced the joy of community. Our family reinforced the love for this country by travel and reaffirmation of the opportunities before us. I have a 7-year-old. We visited the car manufacturers of Detroit, Fort Ticonderoga, and New York. In 1976, we celebrated 200 years of American history with a trip to the East. Niagara Falls, Cooperstown, New York, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, DC, and Philadelphia highlighted the beauty of America. The crescendo culminated in the watching of the live outdoor theater production of 1776 in downtown Philadelphia on July 4th, 1976. I believe in the public education system in America. I root for its success as I am a product of it. The American value and governmental necessity to allow my dreams to breathe were reinforced in my education. Job opportunities, living in 7 different communities and raising a family calls me to continue to champion the beauty of America. I so hope my grandchildren receive similar blessings and joy by living the American dream. Thank you.
Commissioner Armstrong.
I would agree with John on the Jake break. He ought to be at my house a few times when they're coming down that grade, because they do hit that quite a bit. I was down when they were working at the mill race, and that was very hot and very dangerous what they were doing. And city crew, they had that one tree where that stick was, they fought hard. And I think they put a motor on today or yesterday.
Yeah, 1 or 2 of them got in.
Yeah. We appreciate them guys doing that. That river come up hard and fast after that rain, so. And get Great Lake Palmer Steel done, I think it's good to get that money back in the coffers, so we appreciate that, so that's really all I got. Thank you.
Right there.
I would echo, comments already made about what the city's done and how they've come together, appreciate that. It can't be said too much, right? I know the community appreciates the work that they do when they come together, especially in times of need and emergency, and we were on the brink of that with the rain that came through, so appreciate the work. But also there's, and I don't want to say but also, that makes it sound bad. There's definitely a lot more work to do, so I would encourage the people to be patient as, you know, manpower is spread thin. Something that we need to take a look at, moving into the next week, and we get ready to celebrate the 4th of July and Carnival coming up. Is the light posts and the situation that they're in. I don't know if they've been recently addressed, but I know for months now, there's been light poles that have missing plates on the bottom and electrical issues that are exposed. So just want to keep the public safe, especially as they start to gather around there. That's all I have.
All right. I will echo the appreciation for the work that the city crews have done. I'm glad to hear they got new motors, but one question I did have was a couple of years ago, I don't remember when exactly, but we had a motion approval for McDonald Welding to come down and fix these gates. And I don't think anything has happened with that yet.
He's been down there. He's been down.
Probably within the last couple of weeks, but I mean, this has been a couple of years that we approved
Was it
this.
the first one and the first two on the north?
I don't
side?
remember which one it was.
One or two of the north side ones. were
Yeah.
approved.
Two northern ones.
And what was he going to do? And the water's been down now, has it?
Well, the first year was never down.
Right.
The second year, it was still the same types of issues. And he wasn't totally sure how he would do it. So
But it's the first two, and what was he gonna work on?
he was going to rebuild
The gate.
Yeah.
the gate system. All those first two openings.
So, go ahead.
Sam, the gates open and close now that there's a motor issue. I know that I heard something about improvements being done. I just can't tell you exactly what.
Okay.
I wrote it down to get everything verified.
Okay, I was just curious, cause I know we approved it and I never saw anything done, so just follow up on that.
Yep.
I know he's been down there. I don't know if he was measuring up for that new rail on that concrete they poured on the east side of that one there or not, but he was down there.
I do have to say, I was amused as well with the kids playing in the ditches right beside the parks. And they were having a blast down there, and it looked like it was a good, like 3 foot deep probably. But anyways, I thought that was awesome that they were down there. And then I'm just excited for everything coming up for July 4th. Like Travis said, just to make sure everything, just how we come together for Memorial Day in the cemetery, I hope they all come together in the parks and make everything spick and span and making everything look good. So we can have a full day and a half kind of celebration, starting with fireworks on the 3rd. I have nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
On there.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
That was told in about 45 minutes.